Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching. Welcome to episode 11 of Red Door Conversations. I'm Kimberly Dixon with my co-host here, Tana.
Good morning, everyone.
Marla Lewis.
What's up? How y'all doing? We have a great show.
We do.
Yes.
Lisa White.
Hey, hey, hey.
And today we have a guest host on the show, Mr. Chris Senegal.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Hey,
Hello.
Chris. Welcome.
I appreciate the
Welcome.
invite,
Thank you
ladies.
for
Joining us.
Yes,
Thank
we're
you.
super
Have
excited.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Awesome.
This is one you don't want to
We
miss.
Right.
Yeah.
So guys, Chris is a young expert investor, entrepreneur, developer, and the topic of the show today is retiring into investing.
Right.
Right?
Real estate investing. What's the big deal?
What's the big deal? Real
Right.
estate investing. What's the big deal? Right? And so Chris we're gonna dive deep with Chris because he did exactly that. Retired from corporate America, dove headfirst into real estate and investing and
Right.
development, and has really built a successful brand and business. And we want to talk a lot about that today.
And wait, I want to say this because, I don't want people to think, oh, well, I'm not ready to retire. No, Chris is a young man, honey.
Yes.
I was just thinking that.
Thank
That's
you.
Exactly what I was
He's
thinking.
doing it.
I'm
Thank
like,
you. Can we
Right.
can we share with the audience?
Yeah,
your
sure.
age.
Yeah.
Chris is 36
Look at
years
that.
old and retired into real estate investment. So
And-
yes, you can do it too.
Portfolio
That's
is
right.
very diverse.
Very
Not only
diverse.
real estate, but e-rail.
Yeah, consulting work from
Right.
my former corporate experience.
And what else?
I do entrepreneurship coaching and training.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking, motivating, training. We want to talk about it all.
Let's do it.
We
Yes,
want to talk about it all. But first, we are going to dive headfirst into our
Red hot topics.
Whew, today's topic is hot. It's hot. It was almost so hot I didn't want to talk about it.
That's right.
Okay.
So I don't know how many of you guys have watched, or did you all watch or tune in or see any posts on Instagram or social media about Sean Diddy Combs does a music conference every year, and it's located in different areas. And the premise of the conference is really to have experts and executives and artists all get together and share information and really have informative panels, and it's not just parties. So it's a really, really good substantive
Education
weekend.
piece to it.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So something caught my attention on social media. It was a conversation on a panel. They were talking about hip hop versus Trump. That was
Hip hop
the
versus
that was
Trump.
the title.
That is
As in
an
versus
interesting
As in-
title.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Hip hop versus Trump.
Yeah. And
I gotta let
so
that sink in.
you gonna let that sink in?
Yeah, I need to let that one sink in.
Okay. Okay.
Because it's really talking about the culture.
That's what it is.
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
not the
it's
people.
culture.
It's
Correct.
The
It's the
culture.
culture.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
a clash of cultures. And so the thing that caught my eye on Instagram was a conversation between T.I. and a young woman named Candace Owens. She's a black Republican strategist. And I'm sure they had her there to discuss the position of Trump or Trump supporters from a black perspective. So the question came up, exactly what era are you trying to go back to that was so great, especially for black Americans?
Right.
And so rather than us elaborate on it, we have a little clip of the video. Mike, you want to play that for us, please?
And let us mention we do not own the rights to this video.
Which
Yes.
period are we talking about? The period when women couldn't vote? The period when we were hanging from trees?
I'll answer.
Or like the crack era? Which period in America are you trying to make
I
America
would.
like
So
again?
I actually think that I would totally rock a hat right now that said "Make Black America Great Again" because Black
No,
America.
make America.
Before,
We're talking
that's
about make
not the hat.
America.
But
That wasn't the
no,
question.
I am answering your
Which
question.
period was America great that we're trying to replicate?
Well,
Which era was it? Tell me.
I think I'll answer your question.
Tell me.
I'm ready to answer your question.
Which era was it?
What?
Which era was so great?
Here's the thing that you guys are forgetting. America was actually one of the. Slavery was all over the world.
Answer the
All over the
question.
world.
Man,
America
answer
was.
the question.
I'm not saying it's okay. So why are you saying oh?
Hey, man.
America was one of the first countries.
I
I'm
want to
trying
like
answer
you
your
so
question, but I
bad.
can't. I'm
Because
trying to
you're
answer
so
your question.
smart. I want to like you so
If I
much.
can't answer the
I want to
question,
hear
it
y'all.
doesn't
I want to
matter.
be able to hear them.
When you say make America.
So
Interesting.
yeah, that got a little heated. That got a little hot. A little red hot.
Understandably so.
Understandably so.
Yes.
Okay.
Chris, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm gonna give you probably an unpopular opinion or opinion that's not stated often. The black community had the lowest unemployment rate, had the most wealth generated, owned the most land when we were segregated, because we were forced to have our own everything. There was no affirmative action needed. There was no prejudice when you went to a job and applied for a position because everybody looked like you.
Right.
And we got so caught up in the civil rights movement and
integration
and convincing other people that they should accept us that we lost a lot of ourselves in that process.
That's good. That's excellent. Actually, my mother says that quite frequently.
So what you're saying is integration really was not good for us.
In integration, it could have been good if we were there to participate in business with them instead of forcing ourselves in to patronize everything that they had. And then we lost ourselves and we lost all our businesses in that process.
Okay.
Wow.
So, do y'all know who Arthur
pretty
Gaston is?
I'm not familiar with
Enlighten
him.
us.
Huh?
Enlighten us.
Okay, A.G. Gaston. He was he created the first black insurance company. He used to work as a steel worker, and he noticed every time somebody died, everybody had to pass the hat. And no white companies would accept black people. So he started the first insurance company in Birmingham, Alabama.
Wow.
Okay.
So
Wow.
he was a black millionaire during the civil rights movement.
Wow.
And he did not march. He did not protest. He was behind the scenes. He was in good with the white people. A lot of people called him a sellout. But every time the civil rights leaders went to the South, they stayed at his hotels for free. When everybody got arrested at the marches, he bailed everybody out. So that's the type of people that we had in the backgrounds that were they're on the more Republican, entrepreneur, capitalistic side, and they played their role. Unfortunately, after integration, a lot of his hotels went away. Why? People stopped patronizing him. Everybody wanted to go prove to the other people that we can stay at your spot now.
Right.
So he had to close some of those businesses. Yeah, so
That's very
he
good.
died like in the 90s, I believe. He did leave some of his businesses still to his family, to his heirs. But a lot of stuff just went away because we were so busy focusing on walking in somebody else's house and demanding a seat at their table instead of keeping our own.
That's pretty deep.
That's a whole nother hot topic.
So it's
Keep
almost
us
like we
keeping
did
our
an
own table.
injustice to our own selves.
Okay.
That was good. That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
you're welcome.
going back to the video, though, Candace never did answer the question.
Never.
So
There's not really I mean, we have some selective memory when we talk about American history. I mean, we can dive into that, which is something you just did. But
Right.
there's instead of looking back on all of our missteps and trying to repeat or correct them, we need to be looking forward. I mean, that's
Exactly.
just my philosophy. And to your point, Chris, something that the Jewish community did, because they experienced unimaginable atrocities, just like the African American community. But some of the differences that I noticed, and we're going to be very candid and frank at this table, is they do a lot of inward perspective, nurturing of their own families, nurturing of their own communities. And
Yes, they do.
we did lose a lot of that effort at trying to integrate. Even education-wise, you know, you think about, we wanted to go, my mom used to say this, because she grew up in, all of our parents probably grew up in black, you know, Southern America, that integration was the worst thing that happened to education, because they had their own proms, they had their own identity, and like to your point, they lost a part of that. She said we never really wanted to integrate. We just wanted the same books. We just wanted a bus with no holes in the bottom.
Correct.
You know,
You
so
want
it was the equality,
equality,
we were searching,
correct.
seeking.
Right, yeah.
And instead of the equality portion of, we tried to assimilate so aggressively, we lost so much of ourselves. So
If you look at right now where we are, a lot of times we don't want to support each other.
yeah.
We don't want to support each other. I know people that will opt to not use a black real estate professional when they're getting ready to purchase their home.
Same here.
And I know
I've experienced that too.
exactly. And then when something goes bad in the transaction,
They wanna
then you
call.
want to call and soak up all my knowledge, all of my information.
Yeah.
And so it stings.
But that is also a very
It's a
purposeful
trust.
effort, purposeful, concerted effort for us not to trust ourselves,
Yes.
not to work with one another, because
We're
with
always
division,
fighting against
Correct.
each
we
other.
can never move forward.
But see, I think that goes all the way back to slavery. we were, put against each other. And so to me, in my opinion, I think that has carried on from generation to generation to generation with us not trusting each other.
So a
You know
slave
what?
mentality,
You know what?
and
I
you don't think so?
No, this
You
is
don't
why.
think so?
This is why I don't.
Okay.
Because, like I said, we had a period where we had our own everything. We were professionals.
Sure.
I think what happens is, well, what did happen is when we lost that, when we lost that group of parents and elders and seniors that were owning their own businesses from the 1850s to the 1950s, then we're all raised now to be employees.
We're conditioned.
Conditioned to be employees, and now we no longer think about what it is to have good customer service, what it is to run a business.
That's correct.
Right.
So most of us that are trying to break out, we're trying to become an entrepreneur now, but we have no guidance, and so we really don't know. We're not trained on how to treat people, how to speak to people.
That's
how to run a business.
But okay, so that ties into Lisa's point where she said some people will, and we're being candid and frank, I don't want to work with you because I don't, their attitudes and it's a perception that we're carrying on with us, and it has nothing to do with how we do business as individuals.
Correct.
It's
Right.
a perception as a community.
Right, because so many people get into these things without the proper training.
Right.
And they tarnish, they put a black cloud over us, the
And
ones
so
that
we
really
have
are
to
professional.
we have to work triple hard to prove ourselves.
Right.
And hey, you can put anybody in this room up against a Caucasian, Asian, and knowledge is going to be there. The
work
effort,
and
the
the
customer service,
commitment.
all of that. And I can say that with conviction, knowing that the same type of service would still, or better, would still be, delivered. The client wouldn't receive any less. But it to me, we have to just work extra hard to win over a person.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair, because
Well, it's the
when you look
internal
at
struggles
correct,
and the
because when you
external
look at everything,
factors.
when you look at apples to apples, 9 times out of 10 we're going to give more care and concern to that client. I feel like, just like with you, you're in the process now of building or developing Liberty Square. Is that accurate?
That is.
Okay. And so I am sure that over in that area within a 3-mile radius, you do have other competing builders.
Yeah, of course.
And so they will. Do you feel as though maybe those competing builders sometime may have an edge with the customer than you? Or do you? And it's not because their product is any better, but it's just, or is it your face that they see when they come over to? Or what face do they see?
Yeah, right now they do see an African American team, so they do see black realtors and everything like that, and they ask who the builder is. So another thing that I have working against me is my first project, right? So it's easier to go to somebody else that's already got other products already out there, and they can say, oh, I can walk this property, he's got one done, I can see the quality of his work and all that. So yeah, that does kind of work against me, and I'm pretty sure, when they see that I'm young and I'm black, I'm pretty sure it does bring some questions.
The perception.
The
is
perception.
So how do you
Perception's not
overcome though?
reality.
How do you overcome that? Because you're doing very well.
I let the product speak for itself.
And
So
That's good.
yeah.
And
So,
he
That's
mentioned
good.
something. He said young as well, because that's another thing.
It is.
A lot of times
they
people-
equate young with
Yes.
youth
Inexperience.
and experience.
Yeah.
Correct.
And a lot of times young means that I'm hungry. Young means that I'm innovative.
That's
I'm
it.
thinking.
Yes.
That's it.
You
Out
know,
of the box.
Yes.
Let me
so
prove
what
to
we're
you that I
doing
can do
here
this.
Is this effort is us helping to change the narrative, the external and internal narrative that we have as a community, and what people perceive us to be in the public sphere. So I love this, y'all. I love it. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I love that you can come and share your experience, and then it marries well with what we do.
Right.
Because you said you have a black team working with you. Not only are you the developer who's black, you have a black real estate agent and a black builder.
Right.
Right? Okay. But they don't know. A person walking into your community doesn't necessarily see your face. Like you said, they see
Right.
the quality of the product first.
Right.
So,
And what I do though, I use especially my Instagram platform as an educational tool,
okay.
mainly to get people to understand, buying real estate and buying a primary residence. If you buy in the wrong market, it's not an asset, And if you buy in the wrong market, you may maintain your value, but you will not, see a lot of or experience a lot of value appreciation. So a lot of the time I have to spend time educating them on why this market is a good market to be in. So more so than just worrying about the quality of the house, worried about the neighborhood that it's in and what's happening in the
Long
neighborhood
term.
and
Yeah.
what's revitalizing. So a lot of it's education too. So a lot of people will buy into the vision of the project. Most of my buyers have, just because of everything I'm educating them on.
Okay. Now, tell us how did you become this real estate developer? How did Liberty Square, how did all of that come into fruition? If you can give our viewers your story.
Okay. Oh, well, it's not working. All right. So I started real estate investing in 2008 by accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Just stumbled upon it, huh?
Well, it was the recession. So this is what happened. So I went to school for civil engineering, and I worked for the railroad. And
Great job.
yeah, great job. I know.
Traditionally, great job.
Yeah.
Retired
Right,
from that job, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. Huh? So they actually paid for me to go to school. I had a full scholarship,
Wow.
and a guaranteed job when I graduated. And they put me on this huge project when I graduated. I was 22, and I was assistant project manager over $100 million
Wow.
reconstruction project.
Wow.
And my boss was 10 years older than me, and she was also black.
Mm.
And she was like the prodigy. They had her like on all the billboards, all the marketing materials, all the employee website stuff for diversity. You know, she's running a $100 million project at the age of 33.
Wow.
The biggest U.S. project for Canadian National Railroad.
So there
which
was
is
11-year difference between you and her.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And man, you know, every day we worked long hours. It was frustrating. And I was like, man, this is not what I was told was going to happen when I get this engineering degree and I get out of school. I thought it was going to be like Easy Street. You know?
Easy Street.
Right. And so then the rumor was going around that there was going to be some more projects that they wanted me to head one of them, but they were all in Canada.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't want to go to Canada for 10 years. I got to get out of this. So anyway, I decided to leave that company, and I moved back to Texas, and I can't sell my house in Memphis because it's the recession, 2008.
Okay.
Yeah. So I paid the mortgage for like 6 months, and I was renting an apartment here, and I was like, well, I'm just going to bite the bullet and hire a property manager. So I hired a property manager in Memphis. My mortgage payment was like $1,200. They rented the place out for $1,600. So, and meanwhile,
Okay.
I'm down here reading books. I started reading like Rich Dad Poor Dad and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, man, this really works because I got a property out of state. Somebody else is managing it for me. I'm not doing anything, and I'm making $400 a month. So that's like real estate is going to be my
Light bulb went off, huh?
light bulb went off.
Moment.
Yeah, that was definitely an aha moment. So that's when the light bulb went off, and I was like, real estate is the route I'm going to go from here on. So 2009 here in Houston, one of my line brothers, Omega, by the way.
Okay. Well, hello, Fred.
Hey.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So he worked for Homevestors. That's the We Buy Ugly Houses people.
yes.
But he was their property manager, like at Sunnyside in that area. And he was like, well, I can hook you up with one of the contractors. So I met one of the contractors. He kind of took me under his wing as my mentor. And so he would help me pick properties. I started flipping houses in 2009. So he would help me flip them. He'd make money off of, the rehab work. And, he knew that if he kept me making money, that he would continue to make money. And to this day, I still use him.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's how I got into it. And I did that for about 5 years. And then I had the opportunity to buy that whole block that I have now.
Okay.
Crazy
Okay,
story.
so where's the block located?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
All right, so the block is located right on Highway 59 and Liberty Road, Quitman, which is the first exit north of I-10.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I bought it in 2013 when there was absolutely nothing going on in Fifth Ward.
There
Wow.
was nothing.
And how
And
much
everybody
did you
thought I
pay?
was crazy.
How much did you pay for that land, if you don't mind me asking? Is that
Okay, so here's the deal. On paper, the purchase price was $425,000
okay? Back in
in
2013.
2013.
Okay.
That property was probably worth $300,000 at max.
Okay.
It had an abandoned grocery store on it.
I'm familiar with it.
With some little apartments. It had some raggedy houses on it, old hamburger shop. But the guy that owned it had inherited it from his dad, so he didn't have any debt on it, except he was behind on taxes. So what I did was I negotiated owner finance with him,
Wow.
and I offered way more than I knew it was worth at that time, because I knew I was going to spread the owner finance out over 10, 15 years, and I knew the value was going to catch up and exceed that purchase
purchase
price.
price.
Very smart.
By the time, and so I was watching everything going counterclockwise around downtown from the Heights, First
Yes.
Ward, Fourth Ward,
Uh-huh.
Third Ward had started at the time. I said eventually it's gonna
It's
come.
gonna come
It's gonna catch.
It's gonna come to Fifth Ward, yeah. And so the good thing was the houses were habitable. They just weren't nice.
Correct. I'm very
So,
familiar with the
yeah.
area.
So what I did was, when I bought it from him, he had a bunch of drug dealers and prostitutes and everything all hanging around him because he was a drug addict himself. And since he had the revenue coming in from the real estate, everybody was just leeches on him.
Oh.
Yeah. And this is a Jewish guy, by the way.
Oh, wow.
By the way, the history of this neighborhood is called Frenchtown.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 blocks right around there is where the
Light skin.
first black Creoles from Louisiana settled when they came to Texas.
Yeah.
And over the course of the 50s and 60s, that same desegregation stuff I talk about, we lost all that property, and this Jewish guys came in and bought up 26 blocks over there. So this guy was one of his kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Powerful story.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Very.
Wow.
So now I control it, and I move all the bad people out, and then we start bringing in parolees. The reason why we choose parolees is because it's very hard for them to find anywhere to live, especially if they have felonies. And you know, a lot of them, we only took non-violent, so drug addiction or drug dealers or that kind of stuff, or white collar crimes.
Correct.
Yeah, and so we would let them come and stay there and rent by the room. So they'll pay $350 a room for all bills paid. A lot of them had trades. They were carpenters, electricians, plumbers, all that kind of stuff.
I'm
So-
just loving this story.
I'm
like,
And so you did that. You did that before.
2013 to 2016. That way, it was cash flowing. It was carrying itself. I
That's
didn't have
it.
to worry about paying taxes out of pocket.
You can do
You know,
planning during the time
yeah.
that it was cash flowing.
Yeah, let it carry itself until the redevelopment started.
Wow.
Right. And so that's what I did. And in 2016, another developer named Camilo Pera with Pera Design Group, he actually is a professor of architecture, I think at PV. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
at PV.
Homes on St. Emmanuel.
Yep.
The white architectural,
Yep.
like sharp
Mhm.
corners.
Yep.
Really, yeah.
That's him. He started building deep in Fifth Ward. And
Okay.
he wasn't even listing them on MLS. They were
Before they could
selling.
go.
They were selling like hotcakes.
Moving that quick.
Yeah, in 2011, he had bought like 75 lots in adjudication sale. So he just been sitting on them for a while. He started building, and they started moving. So I really had to go down to the court records to actually pull the liens to see which ones, you know, actually had loans against them, see how much the loans were. That's how I figured out he was selling them for $250. So I was like, well, if he's selling them for $250 deep in the neighborhood, and
Wow.
it hasn't really changed that much. It's still
And
very
you're
rough.
right here off of the.
And I'm right here off of the freeway.
There you go.
I'm like, well, that tells me market data says that if people are willing to do that there, they'll definitely be willing to do something on my property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's fast forward to 2019. So what is the percentage of completion at this point for Liberty Square? Where are we?
First 3 units are done.
Okay.
I'm getting final occupancy permits this week.
Okay.
I've got contracts on 2 of them already.
Okay.
Nice.
And so what is those are that price point is what?
$279.
$279. And what is the 3-bedroom?
3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1,700 square feet.
Okay.
2-car garage, individual driveway, and a backyard.
Okay.
Wow.
Things you don't get inside the loop.
No,
Right.
no,
Right.
no. I saw
That's
it.
a
I
great
went on the
price
Instagram.
point.
Especially
So I saw it.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So you have a team that now Lennox Home Buyers, is that your real estate company where you just purchase property, or do you have agents that you sponsor?
So no, Lennox Home Buyers is wholesaling and investing.
Wholesaler, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
wholesaling and investing.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so how do your strategic partnerships, how do you have a partner with Liberty Square, or are you the sole?
I am the sole owner of the Liberty Square LLC.
Got it. Okay.
I did bring on one investment partner.
Okay.
She put $250,000 into the project.
Okay.
And that was for carrying costs, and I'm using that for like interest payments and other soft costs that we had, like taxes and all that other kind of stuff to carry the project. And she actually, same age as me, used to work for Shell, had a bunch of money in an old 401k, rolled it over to a self-directed IRA, and then I did a JV with her IRA.
Okay. Are y'all
on
listening
it.
to this?
Yeah. Okay.
Are
now
you all
explain to
listening
the
You guys need to
listeners,
be, have
What
your
is a JV?
notepad and
Okay.
Get your pen and
ready.
paper.
Come on,
Yeah.
just
what is a
take those
JV?
notes.
Explain to the listeners.
So a JV is a joint venture
venture.
agreement, which means you're partnering with another group. Y'all you still have separate entities, but it's just a legally binding document that says we're working together in some capacity on this.
Now, what percentage? She put in 250. What is the percentage of ownership for her?
There's not a percentage of ownership per se. It's just a return on her investment.
Okay.
So I'm giving her a 20% return. So she took that money that was in a 401k, making 7 to 8% a year.
There you go.
Now she's making 20%.
Okay.
Right, and for me, with the profit margins on the actually building the townhouses, it's not unreasonable to give her a 20%
Correct.
return on that, right? Okay, and then so a lot of people that don't understand what a IRA is. It's an individual retirement account,
Right.
whereas if you have a 401k, you usually have to go through a third party like a Vanguard, Merrill Lynch, and they give you these mixes of stocks, bonds, and usually certificates of deposit that they invest your money in based off of what type of risk tolerance you have and when you plan to retire. And they give you this yield curve about what's risky, what's not. What people don't know is the whole time they're doing that, they get management fees.
Absolutely.
They charge you 2 or 3%, and whether you make money or lose money,
You still have to
They
pay those
do.
You still
management
pay 'em.
fees.
Yes.
you still pay them. And I mean, history shows that individual people cannot perform better than the stock market does on its own year after year. That's why when you hear like an investment bank say we beat the market, that means they did it for 1 year. And if you know anybody that's done it for more than 2 or 3 years, they're like an anomaly. And then seriously, and then the investment criteria goes up so high that they're not taking people less than $250,000 to invest. You know, so what really makes more sense is either just put your money in an index fund where it just mimics the whole market overall, because the stock market never goes back to zero. No matter how much it dips, it continues to set new boundaries every year.
Okay, and so you don't invest in the stock market at all?
I don't. But I'm saying all that to say, real estate gives you even better return than that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So instead of being stuck to stock related and certificate of deposit related paper type assets, when you put in a self-directed IRA, you can invest in anything. You can partner on. You can start a business. You can lend money and become a lender. You can buy real estate and hold the real estate, and all the rents can be going back into the self-directed IRA. But the only thing that's congruent with the 401k is you cannot personally profit from it, because it's still a retirement account. Yeah.
Tax on the profit.
What is the completion date for Liberty Square, and how many total units will you have?
I'm shooting for June of next year to be complete with all of them.
Okay.
And it's 14 units.
14 units. Okay.
14 townhouses.
Now, do you have plans to purchase investment properties in any other parts of the country, or are you just doing Texas?
It's funny you say that. I actually own about 20 lots in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right by Southern University, which is very similar. Scotlandville is the same as Fifth Ward here. And it's a ton of opportunity there. And I actually bought both properties at about the same time. I bought that one from the Baton Rouge Redevelopment Authority's adjudication program. So that is going to be the next project that I do. But I'm going to continue phases of this. Right across the street from where I am, there's 2 acres that we're going to do a second phase. My property is about the size of 1 acre, a little bit less than 1 acre. So we could do 23 or 24 townhomes on that other property. And the goal is to continue to build up that area and kind of give Fifth Ward, make Liberty Road kind of like McGregor or something like that in Third Ward.
So what have you noticed so far, since you've been there for a couple of years now and you've started the residential development? Have you noticed any commercial development happening in and around the area?
The bet really paid. I knew the bet paid off in 2015 when Midway, who built City Center, they purchased 120 acres. That used to be the old KBR property right on Buffalo Bayou. Yeah, so 1 mile from my site, literally, they're about to build. It's going to cost $300-400 million.
Right.
But it's going to be City Center with waterfront.
Correct.
Wow.
And I heard I want to.
Wow.
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the investment, purchasing investment properties is becoming more of a challenge in Houston, because you get people from so many different parts of everyone wants to come to Houston. So
Yeah.
It
are you
is.
trying to, so that's the reason why you're trying to venture out, because it's considered like, I guess, red water. It's
Saturated.
Yeah, very saturated.
So yeah, Houston is the most competitive real estate market in the country.
Yes.
Literally. So I don't know if y'all know, but we're third largest city now. The next census.
Yes.
will announce
Correct.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. We're past
You
Chicago.
don't know if we know.
Okay. I don't know if they know. I don't know if y'all know. So yeah, I mean, we release it by the recession. We didn't have the big inflation that the other big markets had.
right.
We were
Our
still
real estate
able to
costs
stay
is
afloat.
We can
Yeah.
survive on our own.
Exactly.
Right.
We're less expensive than New York and Los Angeles.
Correct.
So oil and gas is here, so most of the international travelers are familiar with Houston.
Correct.
Sure.
So yeah, it's the hottest market. It's the toughest to invest in the established markets though, because most of those people that are buying and have that money, they're conservative investors. They're not looking for a big return. They want something that looks established and stable.
Stable.
Yeah, and Fifth Ward, and I would even say the east side of Third Ward are areas that we should be dominating, because the prices have not been driven up by those factors yet.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. For someone that's been wanting to get into real estate investing, but just really don't know how to, probably have a little fear. What would you recommend their first step? Maybe not development, but what is your recommendation for someone that wants to
Just
delve
starting
into,
out.
in real estate investing?
Yeah. Okay. I would say number one, start with the free resources. There's tons of videos and training out there on YouTube now, just to learn and listen and learn the lingo and the conversation, and then the next thing would be go on Facebook and go on Meetup.com and search for real estate investment groups. All of those, most of those meetups are listed on one of those platforms.
Okay.
And there's private investing groups, and they always have free meetups every week where they're talking real estate, and they offer training that can help you get acclimated to industry. But what I don't want you to do is go there and go drop $5,000-$10,000 for some training.
There you go.
Yeah, with people trying to sell their
Exactly.
product.
Yes,
Exactly.
like
Exactly.
I want to say
Don't
the name
don't
of one of
say
them
it.
so bad.
Don't
but
say it.
I'm not-
Don't
I'm not
fall,
gonna do it.
guys.
I'm not.
Do not fall for that.
do that.
If
But,
something has a
yes.
fee, an exorbitant fee attached to it,
Yeah.
Don't
don't-
do it.
yes.
What I will say is there
It's gonna
is
put a bad taste
and you
in your
have
mouth.
to pay the fee
or
today.
they want
Yes.
you to take
To
money
get the
out.
deal.
It's going to put a bad taste in your mouth,
Yeah.
and then you're going to be soured about
Right.
real estate
Yeah.
investing.
If they're asking you questions like, "Oh, what's your credit score and how much money do you have in your
or
account?"
let me pull
Yeah.
your
Or
credit
let
score.
me pull,
Yeah.
yes, stay away from them.
Right.
Just stay away.
Right. Go there to network.
That's
go,
right.
Go
Get
there to
knowledge.
meet the other
Yes.
people. Right. Exactly.
and to get knowledge.
Exactly, and
Very good.
The resources there's always going to be people that are service providers for the industry. So there's going to be a bunch of contractors there. There's going to be a bunch of lenders there, and that's the people you need to meet.
Right.
Because you meet the right contractor. The contractor is really going to be the make or break for your deal.
There you
That's it.
go.
Right. Yeah.
So, do you recommend that they start with the flipping component or buy and hold?
It depends. If flipping is a job,
It
It
is. It's a day to day.
it's
Because
a
you're trying to
job,
meet that short timeline
And
to
it's-
get it completed.
and it's stressful.
sold.
And it's stressful, and there's so many unknown variables in flipping.
Yes.
Because I don't care how well you walk a property and how much time you
will not
put
know.
on putting together that estimate for the rehab. When you open up a wall, you're gonna see something you didn't
It's
see
gonna be a
before.
You better
surprise.
preach.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a
Yeah.
surprise.
And it, HGTV just romanticizes it.
Oh
yeah.
my God! Let's not
You
go
just
there.
nailed it.
We
You
said
nailed it.
that
You
on
nailed
here.
it.
I always say like HGTV is to
They make
how-
me
HD
sick.
fake
it's,
TV.
it's to real estate of what Disney is to relationships.
Yes,
There you go.
yes.
There you go.
It makes me sick.
That's good.
It
Yeah.
makes me.
Yeah.
I get sick at the stomach.
Everything's a fairy tale. That's not real life.
Y'all know
And
my
I-
tag.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
No,
Always-
no. You can always buy a house in between the commercial breaks.
So
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
The offer was
Do you,
accepted.
Yeah.
Christopher? Do you purchase rehab homes or?
I do.
Okay.
Mhm. I slowed down on that when I was trying to figure out how to get the development off the ground because
Okay.
you can't juggle too many
That's
things.
it.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So are you
smart.
going more toward? Do you approach homeowners that are in pre-foreclosure? Do you do
Yes.
tax properties?
Mhm.
Okay.
So I have students now.
Mhm.
So I did wholesaling for a while, and now I just teach other people how to do it. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier, instead of charging a big fee, I make them pay me like $1,500 up front, and what I use that
Not
for
bad.
is to reimburse. Well, to get them set up with all the contracts and everything they need, and to pay for my time in case they never really do a
Exactly,
deal.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just lets me know they're tangible and they're serious.
Because they have to know
Exactly.
what
Yeah.
they're doing. There's so many people that get into wholesaling and they have no clue what they're doing, and they'll mess up a whole deal. They'll waste a
Yeah.
realtor's time,
A
you
seller's
know,
time.
yeah,
Mhm.
and maybe make $100 from the deal,
Right.
When they can make more if they know what they're doing.
Exactly. And so what I do is I partner with them 50-50 on the first 3 deals.
Okay,
Walk
not
them through the whole-
bad.
Matter of fact, that's where I'm coming from. I came from a closing this morning.
Good for
One-
you.
Congratulations.
I got 2 students doing closings today, as a matter of fact.
All
We like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
love
We
it.
love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Christopher, you're just putting smiles on all of our faces.
Yes.
We're sitting here going, damn, like you're giving such good information. I just
Yeah.
Because
Wow.
what the stereotype is in our industry is that most real estate professionals don't have a clue about investing. They're not investors.
Right.
We
And that
actually
is
we
so
don't
wrong.
fit that prototype.
Right.
We're
Right.
investors.
I love it.
My husband and I, we started investing. We've been together, married 17 years, and we purchased our first property like a week after we came back from our honeymoon. So we're investors here.
Yeah.
And so we understand the dynamic. However, I do personally want to get on the development side because we have been your flippers, your purchase and hold,
Right.
that kind of thing. That's what we've done. But I so want to get on the development side, so I perhaps will be giving you a call so I
Definitely,
can get some
definitely,
training and
definitely.
knowledge on how to get this done.
But
I might be signing up
yeah.
for your class.
So,
Because I'm ready to
Right,
retire.
like
yeah.
we
So
need
look.
to-
So let's tie it all together. So you asked which one was better, flipping or
Yeah,
rental?
for people
Or
that are
fix and hold.
Okay,
Anybody.
so I had 10 rental properties at one point in time because I think that's what everybody is kind of
accustomed
you
to
live
believe
with
in.
it.
yeah, that's what we're guided towards when it comes to real
Right.
estate investing.
Right.
And you know, I had several instances where a tenant stopped paying rent.
Hello.
I had to evict them. Then they did
Right.
like $7,000-8,000 worth of damage to the property.
Preach.
So now I'm $10,000 in the hole. I pay another $1,000 to go to
Right.
court to get a judgment against them,
Right.
and they don't have the income to pay a penny.
Exactly.
So
and
now-
so you wasted all these court fees and
So
all
I've lost $11,000.
That's
now,
it.
If I divide that $400 a month in profit up by $11,000, that's 3 or 4 years worth of profit off of that rental property that's gone. So if I'm not in a market where the values are really appreciating a lot, that asset is non-performing. It's costing you money.
It's the market that you're investing in, and it's your appetite and your risk tolerance
Exactly. Right. Mm-hmm.
that determines
So I have a
which one fits your
I do have
portfolio better.
an investor that I work with. I put all his properties on the market to have them leased, and he's a very nice landlord. He never charges. He never goes up on the rent. He's very nice, and so right now what we're dealing with, really more so him because I'm not a property manager, what he is dealing with is having tenants not pay the rent like you said, and I mean they're going 3-4 months, 5 months, and then he decides, okay, it's time to take them to court.
After
And
5 months?
so I'm trying to,
well, he's a nice
work-
guy. and he
He's
does-
a
Yeah.
very nice
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
even one of
Right,
his
yeah.
right, and I'm like, I can't say his name, but I'm like, hey, you need to go ahead and get rid of him, get him out right now. And one of his tenants even called me and said, oh, he's such a sweet guy.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
think
I'm
there's
just like-
space for who, if he can
He thinks-
tolerate it and
Right.
it doesn't give him any heartburn,
Yep.
then so be it. He
So
might
be
be a
it.
blessing to somebody. That wouldn't be our situation.
Right. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Not at all.
the other part of this
What
is
it-
the question about renting. So it's different. There are different types of renters. So in your property, if I'm renting a $300,000 property, that person's not paying $1,200 in rent.
Right.
So it's a different
Caliber of tenant.
caliber of tenant, and then
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
have different.
That's what I was
issues.
going to. Yes.
Do
Yes,
you
they do.
use property managers for your rentals, or do you manage them
I have property
yourselves?
managers.
Okay,
I don't
and
have
that
any
is-
rentals right now.
Okay, so you're done.
Yeah.
for
Well,
now.
yeah. I got out of it. I sold them when I started working on a development project.
But do you recommend that landlords?
I definitely recommend.
And why?
Because with a property manager, it takes a lot of the headache off of
Yeah.
you.
Yes.
Okay,
And
so
for
you
the-
guys heard it
The-
from
the-
Christopher.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. The
Uh-huh.
right. The
Are you
right.
trying to coach someone through the show?
I hope they're watching.
Well, I mean,
Stop.
and this goes back to school, right? And how we're conditioned in the education system. Do everything yourself. You know,
Right.
Oh my
You
God.
gotta
You
delegate.
get a pat on the back if you can figure it all out and you can do it yourself.
That's
You-
true.
You can't use nobody else. You can't cheat. You can't copy. You know.
You drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
And you only have so many
Not a-
hours in a day.
Exactly. Leverage is the key to building wealth.
So for
Yes.
investment,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
Absolutely.
income
Yes.
producing activities.
Uh-huh.
So if it's not an income producing activity as an investor, you're a worker.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And here's the deal:
Yeah.
when that property is no longer making you money, it's time to get rid of it.
Yes,
There
it
you
is.
Yes.
go.
Yeah, it's time
Yes.
to
Good
it's
one,
time,
Lisa.
it's time to
Yes.
get rid
Good
of it.
one.
I say
Yeah.
that in my home all the time.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes,
This lady.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
And you know that's a good point too, because I talk to a lot of people now where we have this renaissance of real estate investing now,
Right.
and everybody wants to have big portfolios. And everybody's like, I'm building generational wealth. No, you're not, because in 50 years,
On
that
Instagram all the time.
if your property is going to be in deplorable condition,
correct.
Yeah.
and
What
your
kind of wealth
kids
is that?
your kids are not going to want it, and as soon as you
Exactly.
die, they're going to sell it.
Exactly.
So you have done nothing. You have done
Right.
nothing.
Yes.
You didn't
Yeah.
buy back the block. You let the block die.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Christopher, I have a question. You mentioned that your contractor is very important, right?
Most important part of the
My
process.
question is for those that are just starting out and looking to become an investor, how do you partner up with how do you find that contractor that you're on the same page with?
Okay,
What
so
are some key things that they should be looking for?
Okay, so number one, networking is going to be key to that, because you need to be networking with other investors that are actually already performing investment deals.
Yes.
Because their experience will lend you a learning curve that you would take 10 or 12 years to learn on your own, literally. Because if you do 1 or 2 bad deals, then you got to recover from that financially,
Yes.
credit wise, and everything. So working with people that are actually doing it, like I said, humble yourself a little bit, just sit up under them, ask them if it's something you can do for them for free, shadow them and learn who they're working with and why they like those people. And once you get that list, then if you have a good eye for it, you can go walk some of the properties with these potential contractors and see what they're doing. See how they're treating their workers. That's important too. Understand
How their sites.
Yeah, their sites. Understand what they're.
Productivity of sites.
Understand another big dilemma I do see is you find a contractor that does really good work, but he can't manage multiple jobs at once, and so you become that third or fourth client.
That's it.
And then he's not showing up for days and he's giving you excuses, and he just doesn't have the capacity to take on what you
Right.
got. So you have to have that due diligence in that.
So I have one last question because we're wrapping up.
Oh wow!
And then I
Wow,
have
that
one
went
I want
quick.
to.
I know.
Now, they've heard all the good that you're doing, meaning with your development. I want them to know your community involvement, because when someone is as successful as you are, you have to have some type of philanthropic arm that you're working through. And I want people to know, what actually are you doing in the community?
Okay, well, I'm doing. So I formed a nonprofit that's going to launch in probably next month, actually, and it's going to focus on trade training and tech training, right? So for the people that don't go to college, or the people that come out of prison, when you have a trade, nobody checks your criminal record, right? Nobody checks what's going on behind the scenes. So teaching them how to do things related to real estate, construction related stuff. Also, we're going to have coding, for tech. And so my way of giving back to the community is not so much just the charity, but creating economic opportunities, because that's more important.
Good.
Because
That's very good.
as long as we're just feeding people and not teaching them how to fish,
I was just about to say,
not teaching them how to
people
fish, then we're always going to be the same. We're always going to be looking to the few that are doing well to support the entire community.
And that's hard.
that is
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Hearing
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm tired.
perpetuating a
Exactly.
cycle. Yeah.
Christopher, for those that are looking to invest in properties, do you recommend that they get their LLC first before diving in, or
LLC definitely does not hurt.
Okay.
And I would recommend put every house in a separate LLC,
there you go?
just because it's $350, and if a tenant sues you for anything, you're gonna spend way more than
Exactly.
$350. So that LLC creates a separate entity that separates you personally from whatever you're buying, whatever you're putting in that LLC. Yeah.
Good
So
stuff.
if someone wanted to contact you for coaching, purchasing one of your projects, your homes, how can they reach you?
Instagram is the easiest one, _INVSTR. It's like investor with a whole bunch of vowels missing. Or my website, chrissenegal.com, CHRISSENEGAL. And that has a link to everything. My LinkedIn, you can send me emails, schedule time to talk, everything from there.
Love it. Love it.
Very good.
Yes.
Well, we thank
Wow.
you so much. You gave
been
so
great.
much good
Yeah.
information.
Yes.
Thank
Chris,
you.
Yes.
it was a pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
And,
Yeah, we got to do part 2.
I was just going to say, we need to have him back on the
That's what I
show
mean.
again.
Yeah.
This just wasn't enough
Of time.
time. We need
Yeah.
to have you back on the show.
Okay, I'm
And
down.
we will.
I'm
Yes.
down.
Did you enjoy yourself?
I did. I really appreciate the conversation. This is really
Okay.
good dialogue.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love what y'all doing.
Absolutely.
you
I
so
love what
much.
you're doing.
Yes.
Yes.
So keep doing it.
And especially giving back and
To the
I
community.
love it.
Yes.
I love
Yes.
it in teaching.
We need some more electricians, some more plumbers that's going
Yes.
to show up on time.
Right.
I love that. I
Give
love
that
that.
Instagram how they can reach out to you. Just
One
one
more
more time.
Okay. _INVSTR. And it's on the screen. There we go.
All right.
There we
All
go.
right,
All
guys.
right, Mr. Senegal.
Well, that's going to wrap up episode 11.
Yes.
Ladies, this was a good show. Looking forward to episode 12, our final show of the season, you guys. It's going to be a special show. So you'll want to tune in for that one.
Yep.
And then look for Chris to be on the show in season 2.
There we go.
Yes.
All right.
We just might
All
have to do a
right.
kickoff. Kicking off with Chris Senegal.
Thank you, guys.
Until
Thank you
next
so
show
much.
time.
Thank you.
Say bye-bye.
Bye.